my maintenance team. So I just kind of wanted to go through some of the things that we've already discussed through training with the maintenance requests. So this is kind of going to be a bit of a combined training for Mike and Chris, as well as maintenance techs. So this is just for the maintenance team in general. So it will start off with, you know, how you approve a ticket and how you assign it, which is obviously something that only Mike and Chris can do. But I'm also going to walk you through some of the other things as well. All right. So I'm going to come down. I know my dashboard looks a little different than yours, but if you go into maintenance requests, for Mike and Chris, you're going to be able to see, you know, open tickets. And this is something that you guys are going to check, you know, Monday through Friday, normal business days in the morning. And what you would want to do is come in here, click on it, read through the information, make sure that, you know, you have a good understanding of what's going on. And then you can come in here and you can approve it. Or if, you know, you had another question, you could always use the chat feature. And that's shown in the other training video, but you could come here and you could ask a question of the person who made the request so that you can clarify it before you go ahead and approve this. And then of course you also have the ability as a director to go ahead and trash something. So if something came over and it was a duplicate request, or maybe it was an IT request, even after I've told them several times that that's not going to be processed through here, you do have the ability to trash that. Okay, but the next thing that you want to do, the next step in the process from open would be to approve it. So Mike and Chris can approve a ticket. You go in and it'll change it to approved. And then once a ticket is approved, you can go ahead and click on here to actually assign that ticket, either to an outside vendor or to somebody on our maintenance team. So if you click on here, you can put in the due date. I would suggest that you put in a due date, because right now what it does is it kind of puts the due date as whatever, you know, the time is that you have entered this. So I would put a due date, even if you don't think, hey, that's really not going to get done, you know, within the next month or so. It may be worth it to go ahead and pick a due date, you know, at least to say, hey, I want this done, you know, within the next 3 months, or at least within the fiscal year. I want to make sure that this is done. So here you could put it all the way out to the fiscal year and say, I want to make sure it's done by the end of this fiscal year. And you can just put in an arbitrary time, whatever you want to do. I'm a fan of, you know, 12 noon. And then here you can leave it as internal, so it's already kind of grayed out for you. So if you were assigning this to an internal role, so this could be yourself, Mike or Chris, or this could be one or more of our maintenance tech on the maintenance team. I would suggest not assigning to a role, because that will assign it to anybody who actually has that role within ICM. So it could assign to multiple people. So I don't think that's something that you guys want to do. But assign to a user, you can go ahead and assign this to yourself. You could, and you can sign it to multiple ones. So maybe it's, you know, Chris and Harry are going to do this. So those are your options there. And then you would click assign. But also you have the ability to assign this to an external vendor. So here, you know, all of the vendors that you guys have provided me with are in here. So whatever one that you want to send to, you know, maybe it's a concrete thing. And you can assign it to multiple vendors as well. So if this was a ticket that came through and it had, you know, multiple requests on it, or you know, there are multiple steps to that request that requires, you know, more than one vendor, you can assign that to more than one vendor. You would just pick another one and it would go right next to it. So maybe, you know, absolute needs to come out. I don't know what scenario would require concrete and absolute, but you can do that. So here, if you do internal, we can say we're going to assign this to myself and go ahead and assign it. Okay, you can also edit that. So if you click on that little notepad and pen kind of looking thing, you can come up here. So if you assign something, you're like, I didn't, you know, I want to change that, or I didn't mean to assign that person, you can go ahead and do that. And that's also how you would change the due date, is by clicking on that. Okay. So now you can see the status has changed from approved to assigned now, okay? All right, so then for maintenance techs, so then once a ticket is assigned to you as maintenance techs, you could get this one of two ways. I was told that when Chris was assigning tickets to certain maintenance techs, that you guys were getting alerts within the system to tell you that a task has been assigned to you. So in order to access your task, you could go up to this little notepad and pen, or you could go over into my work. The other way that you would be alerted that something was assigned to you would be actually with the alerts, and alerts would come up through the little bell icon, but again, you could also access your alerts through my work. So if you had tasks assigned to you, this would be here. Because I'm under me and I'm as an administrator, I don't think anybody can assign me any tasks. So if it came up as a task, you would see this here, you could click on it and then it would tell you. Or if it came up as an alert, then it would show on the bell icon and you can go into my work and it would tell you exactly, you know, hey, you've been assigned a maintenance ticket here, okay? So that's something that if you're getting double alerts, I would want to know, just so that I can fix it. I know that at least one of the maintenance techs reported that they were getting alerts that a task had been assigned to them. But ideally, the way that we wanted to set it up would be that you would get an alert when a bell icon alert that something's been assigned to you. So if you're getting multiple like duplicate alerts, please let me know so that I can turn one of them off for you. I don't want you to get bombarded with alerts within iCM. But either way, either the tasks or alerts, you'll be able to see exactly what has been assigned to you. And then once you have actually started working on the project, so you could be assigned something today, but maybe you don't start working on that project until next week or 2 weeks from now. Your options here might be a little different, but what you will be asked to do is to change something to in progress, okay? That way it marks it off, and if somebody comes in to look at the status, they can see, okay, so it's moved from open, approved, assigned, and now it's in progress. So the next step would be obviously to complete it. But once you actually start working on something, we're asking that you please change that to in progress. That way, Chris and Mike and other administrative staff, we can see kind of where this is on your workload, so that we can see, hey, it is actually being worked on, so we don't have to follow up about it. The other thing that we are asking is that in the comment section, just like you guys used to do, handwritten on the ticket, and you would turn that into Mike or Chris, we're asking you to put your progress notes or your work notes within the comments section. So I, just as an example, if I did start work on this today, I would, do the date here. What is the, forgot what year it was. I would do the date here, and I would say, I don't really know what it could be. Maybe it was a hole in the wall or something like that. So I, picked up supplies at Home Depot, and patch hole in wall, and then you will give them the number of hours. Again, just like you were handwriting on those tickets, this is what we're asking you to put within iCM. And ideally, you would be doing this in real time. So at least by the end of your day, you should be able to go in here and kind of update the tickets that you worked on. We don't want you to kind of stockpile this and wait to enter all of your work notes in here. We would like Mike and Chris to be as up to date as possible on the progress of the tickets. So hole in wall, maybe, I don't know, maybe it took me 3 hours to get all the stuff I needed and then go back. And then I would go ahead and save that. And then if maybe tomorrow I came back in, I stand at the hole, or I stand at the patch, I guess, and put a second coat on. We'll need to return the sand again and paint. And maybe that took me an hour. Go ahead and save that. And then if I came back the next day after that, you know, sand it for the final time and put first coat of paint on. We'll return to see if second coat of paint. Just need it. Maybe that, you know, took me another hour to do. And then maybe I came back, you know, on the first. Didn't mean to do that, sorry. Second coat of paint was needed and it was applied. That was done. And here we're asking that you please mention Chris. If I can spell Chris's name, that would be helpful. We're asking that you mention Chris. Again, if you mention him, then they get the alert, and just let him know, you know, job is done or job is complete, however you want to word that, just so that he knows to go in here and kind of review these progress notes, and then he will actually mark the ticket as complete within iCM. That's not something that as a maintenance tech you can do. You can only mark tickets as in progress. It will have to be Mike or Chris that actually marks them as completed. Okay, so I'm gonna get that out of here because I don't want to send Chris an alert. The other thing you can do, if you want it to, it's not required, but if you wanted to take a picture of the completed job, if that's, you know, how you want to alert Chris, you know, send a little message that says, you know, job done, and go ahead and attach that picture. You can do that. Do want to point out, you do have to have a comment in here. All right, I meant to mention Chris. I don't know what I was doing. There we go. You do have to have a comment in here. You don't necessarily have to always, you know, mention somebody in here. But if you are alerting Chris that a job is done, you do have to mention him. And if you want it to attach a picture, you can go ahead and attach that. But again, that's not a requirement. That would be your choice if that's what you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and click off of that. And then for Mike and Chris, you guys have the ability to come in here and mark something as done. So once you've sort of reviewed everything, you know, you can see who it was assigned to and when. If there were any attachments, it would show down here. If you wanted to see the comments, you click on here and kind of read through them. Again, what's coming soon to be the comments would be part of the actual request or ticket when you pull it up. But right now, comments are separate, so you could read through those. And once you're satisfied that, hey, yeah, the job is really done, then you come in here and you go ahead and mark as done. And here you do have to put in a note. So once you do type in a note, it will kind of come up for you if your computer kind of saves those kind of tracking things for you. So you could just have sort of standard line of reviewed progress, or I went to the work site and viewed the work. And then you could come in here and you could say, you know, it was in fact done on the 1st. And you could pick an arbitrary time, or you could pick the time that you went in there and you looked at it. It's totally up to you, but you do have to pick a time. It could be, you know, just the default time that it shows when you first come in here. Or you could pick a different time, and then you would go ahead and mark it as complete. And then keep in mind, once you've marked it as complete, it kind of puts it at the bottom of the list. So if you wanted to pull that up again, it would be much easier to say, you know, show me the completed tickets within iCM. And give it a minute, and then, you know, it'll pull it right up. So just keep in mind that when you mark something as complete, you haven't lost it, but it does go all the way to the bottom of your list. So it's not going to be right at the top when you open the maintenance ticket view. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I would be happy to help you clarify any confusion. Thank you.